2025 UFC is back. Let's go. It's crazy. It was only like 3 weeks ago. It wasn't
felt like half a year.
I know. It really did. So welcome everyone. We're breaking down UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Ribas. You guys know what to do. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Just leave the comment fight. Just the word fight will be the comment section word of the week if you don't have a hot take. But in all honesty, put your comments, put some opinions that you have in there. And if you have not joined our Discord channel, make sure you go ahead and do that. A lot of great information in there, a lot of really good bets. It's like-minded people trying to build their bankroll. No nonsense. There's no trash talking. There's no garbage in there. It's just a bunch of really, really good dudes. So thanks everyone for joining us. We're going to be breaking down these fights again. Like button, code word is fight. Put that in the comment section. Jim, let's get into it. Here we go. UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Ribas, breaking down every fight. Make sure you hit the like button. Comment section word is fight. Leave that in the comment section if you don't have a hot take. Please leave a comment. Tell us what your best bet is. Let's jump into it here. And we're going to start with Joe Solecki ringing in the new season of UFC. So Joe Solecki and Aliev, what's your take on this fight?
Joe Solecki. Well, Joe's one-dimensional Joe here. Look, short notice spot. Can't really get there on Joe. Now, here's what I've come down to, and it's a popular take, so I'll drink the Kool-Aid because I agree with it. Aliev is going to put his neck out there a couple times. I think this is going to be one of those fights where you're going to have 3-4 moments where Solecki could win. Moments, short moments, quick moments. And then after that, it's just going to be one-way traffic. So if that does not happen, if he can't lock up a submission on a guillotine, on a sloppy attempt, on a reversal, maybe he hangs out with his head on the hip a little bit too much and gets that guillotine. But what do we know about guillotines? Unless you're Jim Miller or Charles Oliveira, it is a really, really hard technique to finish in 2025. So I don't know if Joe's that guy. I know he's got fantastic grappling and submission game, but I don't know if he's on that level, man. We've seen him lose it a couple times. So I got to go Aliev by decision in this spot. I think Solecki will do enough to stay safe. I think this fight 100% takes place on the ground, which is going to eat away clock. So give me Aliev by decision.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I mean, this price is just out of control. Crazy. I mean, it's over minus 500 at the time of recording this. So I'm not laying minus 500 on Aliev. You're asking for trouble. His striking is not scaring anybody in the UFC. His wrestling is pretty decent. So I think Solecki is not going to have a lot of paths to get him on the ground and to get the wrestling working. I'm with you. That's Aliev. I would be looking at overs. That's the only way that I would look at playing this one. I don't see a finish coming from anybody. These guys are pretty durable. Well, unless Solecki gets knocked out by the mat again, which is one of the weirdest nights ever. I could see this being a fairly boring, like nobody really taking control, just kind of grinding out some of these rounds. I want nothing to do with the side in this one. So the overs would be the only way that I would take this one. Victoria Dudakova and Fatima Kline, I guess we'll just call her Kline. Fatima. I've heard Fatima and Fatima. I like Fatima a little bit better, but we'll just say Kline. She really impressed us in her debut. It was one of those where it was a loss, but you walked away going, okay, she can hang. I think we're aligned on this one that she gets just a great matchup. This might be a reward for her taking the Gadzhiyasulov fight on short notice because I'm not high on Victoria Dudakova. I think this is a Kline freight train in this one. What's your take?
I don't think this is a gift. This is a gift. I don't have any speculation about that at all. Name me another fighter that's going to take a short notice spot against Gadzhiyasulov. And that's a tough look.
And compete.
And very much compete.
And be there in the third round. Like, you're losing, but not gassed. You're still wrestling. You're still grappling. You're still fighting back.
And look what Jazz is doing to these girls. She's finishing them. So for her in her debut to go the distance on short notice, not a full training camp, Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall for Dudakova. I think the UFC has identified her as a one-dimensional fighter. This is a build-up spot for Kline. They know they have something in Kline. We all believe it. Here's the thing with Dudakova. A, she doesn't take punches well. B, she doesn't stop takedowns well. C, she doesn't have a great gas tank. Do I have to keep going down the alphabet?
I don't see any upside.
Yeah, I think it's just everywhere it's Kline. Now, the number is through the roof. She is parlayable. You're not getting much, but this will be my bold prediction with this, because I believe Dudakova's gotten away with some fights going to decision that against a more talented fighter would not. I think Kline's going to get the submission. I think she beats her up. We see Dudakova gas, and we see Kline get on top, and she gets the finish. I would not just play the submission. I play the finish because the ground and pound will be in play. But I think she gets her out of there in 3, man. This girl's legit. She's for real. She's coming in motivated to make a statement, and they're giving her an opponent that's just perfect for it. Absolutely perfect for it. So
Dudakova just doesn't have power.
No.
Like, she's not shooting a big takedown. She's not great on the ground. I mean, look at her UFC fights. Okay, she wins against Nunez, who dislocated her elbow, like putting her arm on the ground. And okay, congratulations, you beat Jinyu Frey. You lost the first round, and then Frey gasses like she does, and then loses a split to Sam Hughes. I didn't think it was a split. I thought it was a Sam Hughes, win. And this is a really, really nice setup for Kline. Dudakova, listen, nothing against her, but this 8-1 is 8-1 in the UFC is about as fraudulent as it gets. I think she gets exposed. The books are all over it, so it's got to be a parlay piece. I do like your by finish. There's a chance Kline really, really just puts it on Dudakova, and you see end up Dudakova covering up on the ground or getting choked out of there. I don't think she's very good. So Kline all day.
What I do worry is that she makes it to the cage. We've seen her pull out of fights. We've seen her have issues. So I want to make sure this fight starts. And that's one thing about parlaying her at this point, guys. You don't want to be sitting on a bad number in a parlay when Dudakova doesn't make it to the cage. So just be weary with that.
On the flip side, though, this is going to be minus 1,500 if Dudakova has a horrible weight cut.
Yes.
So, yes. I mean, it's, all bets are off if that happens. So, all right. So Bruno Lopes is fighting. You're going to see a lot of Contender Series fighters on this card. As you all know, Jim and I are huge Contender Series fans, and what we did was we made notes of every single fighter that got a contract. So now we are going to go back and look at the fruits of our labor, because we have some pretty interesting notes. So he's fighting Magomed Gadzhiyasulov, Magomed. You know how I've heard him? This is literally how the Magomed who can't wrestle.
Bingo.
That's all you have to know.
You're talking about.
This is what we know about Magomed is he's 9-0, and he has looked. I mean, beating Jose Medina on Contender Series,
smash spot
in one of the most laughable fights ever. And of all the fights that Dana White thinks two people should get contracts out of, it was that one. Jose Medina got a contract, Jim. Magomed somehow goes to decision against Brenton Romero, which is mathematically and scientifically impossible. He is, he's just not that good. And what do we say about some of these, like these Dagestanis that were in their 30s that get their shot in UFC? It's like, why haven't you gotten a shot earlier? Like, are you really that good? So the Magomed that can't wrestle is an interesting spot. All right, let's take a look at Bruno Lopes. And what I've done is I pulled up all of our notes here. So let's go take a look at Bruno Lopes in week 1. Here's our notes. Not that impressive, but Dana needs big guys. He's slow on the feet, and he benefited from his opponent gassing as the fight made it out of the first round and into the second. We hit a live bet on him at plus 154. That's how bad he was doing early on. But that showed he was losing early. An opponent with decent cardio and decent takedown defense will give him fits. I'm not a Magomed fan, but I'm really not a Bruno Lopes fan. To me, it's a Magomed in a horrifically boring fight. I think this 13-1 Bruno Lopes record is just wrought with holes that you can poke into it. So give me the Magomed who can't wrestle in this one. In a fight, I will not be betting. There is no chance I will put my hard-earned money on either one of these two guys. What do you think?
So I went back and watched the Magomed and Ribeiro fight.
I'm sorry, man. I am sorry.
I had to do it. I had to do it because I live bet Ribeiro the first round. If we remember correctly, Magomed took 3 leg kicks and his leg was done. I have never seen it. I mean, think about it. What's it going to take for me to put a live bet on this guy? That's how bad his leg looked. I mean, just shot. What does Ribeiro do? Somehow finds a way to let the Magomed who can't wrestle take him down for 3 rounds and survive a decision. You guys know how we feel about Ribeiro. He's garbage and he doesn't belong. So as bad as Lopes is, can you take 0 stock in Magomed? Any positives from that Ribeiro fight? You can't. And here's the thing. Lopes throws leg kicks. So if you're going to take string bean Ribeiro's leg kicks, 3 of them, and not be able to stand on your leg, what is going to happen when a legit sized fighter lands 3 of those leg kicks? That's where I end up on this fight. Am I betting it? No. But I'm going to say this. This is not going to be the time to fade Bruno Lopes. The next fight is going to be to fade Bruno Lopes. So I hope Lopes wins. I think he does some damage to the leg. I think he's got much better dangerous weapons than Ribeiro, because Ribeiro's knockout or bust. I mean, it's been very obvious, right? I think that Lopes does have somewhat of a ground game that could, if he ends up on top, kind of hurt Gadzhiyasulov. But the leg kicks are what I'm going to be looking at. It is a live bet possibility. We're going to find out real quick if that was a fluke or if this guy's chicken legs just can't take leg kicks really fast.
I kudos to you. I forgot about the leg kicks. I really had truly forgotten about the leg kicks.
It was 3 of them and they weren't that hard. And his leg was blasted.
Well, let's root for Lopes. We're not betting this fight. Let's really, really root for Lopes so we can fade the you-know-what out of him after this one. So we're going to break down Ernesta, Kareckaite, and Caliari. And Jim, I want you to go first because you don't remember our notes on Caliari. She's coming off of a contender series. Ernesta is a big, big favorite. She was on contender series last season in one of the most incredible contender series fights ever. Easily a top 2 women's fight. So what's your take on this one? And then we'll go look up Caliari's write-up from contender series.
I will open my breakdown with this. I think this number is absolutely insane. There is no
Kareckaite is around minus 300.
There is not never. I don't care who. No way. I don't think that Kareckaite has any kind of danger coming her way. Could she lock up a submission? Yes, but it's not really like her forte, right? She's a decision fighter. Does she have power on the feet? Not really. When she's not fighting girls who are 0-0 and 0-1, we're looking at decisions here. So we're looking at a 15-minute fight. I did not see her make. Personally, I thought Judas won their fight on Contender Series.
It was really, really close. They threw record number of strikes.
Tons.
It was volume from both. And it was very strange from her because in her previous fight, she hadn't thrown a bunch. Mm-hmm. But her cardio and volume went through the roof against Judas. That was a big, big surprise.
Now you saw in her fight against Barbosa gasses, still gets the W. Still gets the W. So if we have the fighter that's going to gas getting the wins, I have to kind of go with the other fighter. Now, she is long, she is tall. There's going to be a big, big size advantage for her here. But it's not a mass size advantage. It's that tall, lanky. It reminds me of who's our Sean Woodson, right? That tall, lanky. It's like a big size advantage. Yeah, but he's a toothpick.
The alien.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So Caliari's going to have to get on the inside. She's not going to be able to stand at range. But I just see more danger coming from her. And in a women's MMA fight, that's something I'm looking for in 2025 is who is the more dangerous fighter? Because we do see finishes. I know most of them are overs, but I want to be on the side of somebody who can finish a fight. Not going to bet the finish, I can take the money line at plus money. It just gives me an extra added bonus going on that side. So I'm going to pick Caliari here to pull the upset. I see people parlaying the favorite. I think you're insane. I don't think you even think about putting her in a parlay. And I'll take Caliari to pull the upset in women's MMA to start the year.
All right, so Caliari's probably going to be shooting for the takedown. She likes the submissions on the ground. Kareckaite comes from a kickboxing background, and it's just going to be very, very. It's Kareckaite. If she stops the takedowns, this is going to be a kickboxing clinic. Caliari gets on top. Kareckaite's in trouble. All right, let's go to Caliari's.
To the notes.
to the notes here. I believe she was weak.
She's the first one, right?
Caliari, here we go. Week 5. Good submission. Got reversed on the ground, but had several takedowns and top control. Beat a 35-year-old that just had a baby. So we had remember we bet on Caliari with the fade the baby theory, and I went back and watched that one. Getting reversed on the ground was a terrible look. Terrible look. She's stocky. She's strong. I worry about her. I'm not parlaying Kareckaite, but and I don't want to go head to head because I don't want to be like, oh, I picked the minus 300 favorite, Jim. But I will lean Kareckaite, but I'm certainly not betting. I can't bet anything on this.
Yeah, this is a no bet.
Because if Caliari wins, it could be an armbar, it could be a submission. If Kareckaite wins, it's probably going to be a decision. So it's one of those where if you like Ernesta, maybe you just take her to win by decision because she's not submitting Caliari, and she's probably not knocking her out because she's more of a volume fighter. So Preston Parsons and Jacobe Smith. Jacobe Smith stepping in on short notice. Do you have any takes on this fight with Jacobe Smith short notice against Preston Parsons?
I was very ready to fade Preston Parsons. It's a real shame that fight got canceled there. Just haven't seen really anything of Preston Parsons. I'll tell you a comparison right now. When I think of Preston Parsons, I think of Dan Argueta. Just
light. Dan Argueta light? Yeah.
Just kind of like nothing special. You know? Just like you look at his career and just say, is this really for you? Is this really for you? Would you be better going to a lower promotion? He has the wrestling, but he's so damn hittable. He's just so hittable. And I can't lay money on someone who's going to sit there and just be a blockhead wrestler in 2025. Again, we talk about the evolution of this sport. You have to show me you're well-rounded. I have to see some kind of improvement in your striking and more so your defensive striking for me to lay money on you. And if you're there to be hit going up against a guy like Jacobe Smith, that's a big problem. Now, I do think that he's going to have a cardio advantage if this fight goes long, but can I bank on it going long? I can't. So it's got me kind of staying away here. For the sake of a pick, I think Jacobe Smith takes this on short notice because he knows he can beat this guy. So he's going to try to get it done early. So give me Jacobe Smith.
Right up on Jacobe Smith. Good wrestling, good ground and pound. No submission attempts. That was the other thing we noticed was he got him on the ground, but there was absolutely no attempt at arms and necks or anything. Cardio on the feet might be questionable. This is one of those where we see these guys who on the feet, they get tired, but then you get them on the ground and all of a sudden they can go for hours. Striking not that great against a good opponent. So I thought Oban Elliott beating him was a pretty bad look because I didn't think Oban Elliott was that great in that fight. I don't think Oban Elliott's a great UFC fighter at all. And I thought Oban was trying to work on some things and get better. And so he was kind of fighting he was thinking about a lot of his moves. It wasn't really free flowing and he still beat Preston Parsons. I don't see the upside on Parsons. As much as I don't like taking these contender series guys, I'll probably take Jacobe Smith over that one. So we got some specials going on over at Wager Talk. Allow me to tell you guys about them. I would say that they're short term right now, guys, and you can still jump on this, is 30 days of tennis for only $59. The Australian Open starts really soon. And we're number one lifetime, 124 units the last 3 years on a 45-18 run in tennis. So the tennis majors are where we make a majority of our units. If we're up 100 units at the end of a time period, I would say 80 of them are coming from the majors. So we're just doing a special for 30 days. That way you get all the qualifiers and you get the Australian Open for only $59. No brainer on that one. And then the golf and auto racing profit. We do this every single year. It's my favorite special that we run. Why? Because we've never had a losing season in golf or auto racing. Every single time we've run this promotion, it's been a guaranteed profit. So never want to say lock, you never want to say guarantee, but the proof's in the pudding. Since being at Wager Talk, we have never had a losing season of golf or auto racing. Number one in golf profits the last year. So we look to continue the run in those two. But really, if you're looking for something short term here, don't miss out on the tennis profits going into a major, guys. We try and talk about this every single tennis major. Just don't want to see you guys missing out on any of these profits. So that's why we're choosing to run a 30-day special on tennis for only $59. All right, let's get back to, I think Jim and I are going to go head-to-head on this one. Thiago Moises and Trey Ogden. All right, Jim, floor is yours. You like Thiago Moises. I like Trey Ogden on this one.
I've loved Thiago Moises for years. Win, lose, or draw, this guy has printed money for me. I have a great read on Thiago Moises, and my overall consensus with Thiago is this. There is a certain level of fighter that you bet Thiago Moises against. And if you look down his record, it is very, very evident. Very, very evident. Beats Bobby Green in the way back, beats Alexander Hernandez. Two middle-of-the-road guys, never challengers, right? Big loss to Islam, champion. Joel Alvarez, absolute monster. Monster. Christos Giagos, easy W. Guys in a firefight usually goes down. This win against Costa, I thought, was a really good win. Really good win because Costa could have gave him some problems. So that was a really good win. Against Saint Denis, not losing or losing to Saint Denis before he took 2 years worth of damage. was not like a shame, but now that he's been run over and backed over by a semi 3 times, we might have seen the end of Saint Denis. Mitch Ramirez did what he was supposed to do. Round 3, I know it's a little late, but hey, look, did his job, controlled that fight. The Kline fight, I think this is where we have our opposition here. Didn't look great against Kline. Kline didn't look great against him either. I thought this fight was way different than what we thought we were going to get out of Thiago and Kline. For the record, we were on Kline, so we got our W there as far as that goes. And the whole point was that just going to land the harder shots. I thought Thiago could survive, but you were going to see more damage coming from Kline, and Kline wasn't a fighter we wanted to step in front of. Thiago beats guys who are not fantastic. You have to be fantastic to beat this guy. Okay? I don't believe Trey Ogden is fantastic. I have seen Trey Ogden make mental gaffes. I've seen him lose position. I've seen him cause no damage. I mean, I'm done with the interviews with Trey Ogden where I need to be a finisher. I need to be – dude, you don't even try sometimes. You can tell. And I get what you were saying about the Trey Ogden fight where it looked like he was just working on some things. But if you go back and you look at Trey Ogden, he kind of just fights at this pace where he just does his thing, man. He just does his own thing. And I don't know if that's going to be enough against Thiago. The thing is, when they're in close, I think Thiago's going to have a big advantage in the dirty boxing, in the actual takedowns up against the fence. I like Thiago in this spot. I think he gets this done by decision. I'm pretty sure that Ogden is going to do enough to stay safe. I mean, would we agree that this fight's going the distance?
100%.
So if this fight's going the distance, I'm going to take the guy who I know is going to make the better decisions, is more skilled in the submission game, and more diverse in his striking. So this is a Moises spot for me. Some are off, some are on. I love Thiago as far as betting him. I'm on him this week.
I'm going to go with Trey Ogden. It is very much recency bias. I don't know if that Saint Denis fight, because he took a beating against Saint Denis. I mean, leg kicks to Mitch Ramirez and then against Kline, he just looked like a shell of himself. There was no volume, there was no aggression, there was no forward pressure. That was a real eye opener. I mean, he looked 39, not 29 in that fight. And I'm going, what happened? So it terrifies me. Trey Ogden, listen, he lost to Bahamondes, who I think you and I are both pretty high on. This no contest against Mata was nonsense. He beat Mata. Yeah. And then nice wins against Holaba and Radzhabov. Radzhabov was landing early. Ogden weathers a storm, works takedowns, gets on the ground. I think Ogden is getting a little bit better. I mean, his 2 losses in the UFC are when he lost a split in his UFC debut. And then, the one to Bahamondes. Other than that, he just looked decent. Is he flashy? No. Is his cardio good? Yeah, he showed good durability. And I'm just worried about what happened to Moises after that St. Denis fight, because he just hasn't looked the same. I didn't like the body language with him against Kline, and I wonder if something has changed with him. So I'm not ready to say that Moises is back to his old self. If he is, yeah, he runs over Trey Ogden. But if he fights like he did against Kline, Ogden is going to outvolume him, and he is going to walk forward on him, and he is going to win by decision. So we'll see. I think this is all up to which Thiago Moises we get. If we get the version that you expect, yeah, I think he wins pretty easily. But if he's not 100% back to his old self, then I think it's Ogden. So Marco Tulio and Ihor Potieria here is another contender series guy, except we like Tulio. Mm-hmm. This was a guy that we were – I'll pull up the Marco Tulio notes, because he had a really, really nice finish. If you didn't see it, it was a really nice spinning back body kick. We have good power, smart striking, great job reacting to his opponent's style, beautiful spinning back kick body KO, decent but not great defense, great feints to get opponents guessing, look very strong physically. He'll beat a bad UFC fighter for sure. Yeah, it's like we were like predicting it. My opinion, Potieria is a bad UFC fighter. What's your take on this one?
Tulio, a 2-time, right? Contender? I think he won his first fight, didn't get a contract. They brought him back.
Yeah, Dana likes doing that. You're right. Yeah.
Fight, right?
Oh, that's right. He beat Belgarui, and it wasn't that great of a fight. I thought both of them fought pretty good, but Dana was, but I'll give Jose Medina a contract.
Exactly.
All right, Tulio Potieria.
So 2 times back. What have we seen with fighters their second time? They know the assignment. Okay. I've heard a lot of chatter about Tulio's striking defense being a big problem, and he just swings wild. What do you expect him to do when he won a fight and didn't get a contract? Like we saw this with Kyle Barallo. Okay, fine. You want me back? Smokes the guy, right? Torres Finney comes out, tries to smoke the guy. Right? So, these guys understand their assignment the second time. So I think you need to take that fight and kind of throw it out the window as far as what you've seen from Tulio. Actually, go back and look at his fight against Belgarui, and I think that's more the real fighter that you're going to get. And I think it was a much more controlled, tactical performance in that fight. If you ask me which performance was better, believe it or not, I think the Belgarui fight was better because he got hit.
I do too. Do people understand that? But Belgarui is allowed to fight back.
They don't understand how contender series works.
I wanted to get the finish, but unfortunately, I was fighting a guy who was fighting with the same mindset, which tried to get him finished.
So it makes no sense the hate on it. Potieria is bad. He's just bad. One of my vows for 2024 is to read the tea leaves. So if you're UFC, what do you want? You want Tulio to put Potieria into orbit. You want to get this guy off your roster early in the year. Maybe they couldn't get him a fight. When was his last fight, by the way? October, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they got him a fight in October. I really wonder if they just got him on here because they need to use up a fight. Get him used up. Tulio's obviously the guy they want him to win. I love his diversity in his game. I think he's going to be much more measured. I think he's going to get him out of there at some point. Problem is I can't do the 1.5. I could see it late round 2, early round 3, but at some point I believe he's going to get Potieria out of there. He's got the power to do it. Those body shots are ridiculous. He mixes it up. So time to say goodbye to Potieria. I'll take one more time to fade Potieria before he rides off into the sunset.
Yeah, his 2 wins are to Rua in the retirement fight, and then to Robert Bersecond. It was awful. It was truly terrible. It was an awful fight. It was eye pokes galore and fouls and all kinds of stuff. So he gets obliterated by Pereira, Blotto, Olberg. You could make the case he had his moments against Blotto, but Cesar Almeida had no problem taking care of him. He gets tired right at, after the first round. He loses any KO power, so he's just going to have to try and get Tulio out of there early. But I'm with you. It's Tulio all day. Jose Johnson and Felipe. I love his picture.
I got that same dish towel. What happened?
Yeah, 13-7 by Filipino. He made his UFC debut. He actually made it to round 2 against Josh Van before Josh Van just like completely put it on him. I think both these guys are really bad, man. Jose Johnson, he reminds me a little bit of Sean Woodson in that you're like, he's like too big for his body. Like his body's like too long and lanky, so he ends up really slow punches. He struggled with Almabayev on the ground. Blackshear got him in a twister, which is almost impossible to do. He did beat Chad and Hellinger. I don't think either of these guys have upside. So the only way I really want to look at it is probably to go the distance. But I think they're even, so I'll take the plus money on Bunes. That's the only way. I cannot recommend betting on this one. So it's just, if I'm looking at numbers, if it's even money, I'd just say I have no opinion. But since there's a plus money on anyone in this fight, I guess I would say it. If it was Johnson plus 160, I'd say the same thing. I think Johnson's bad enough on the ground that if Felipe can get him down, he can eke out some rounds. But this is a pretty terrible fight that I would be excited to take a pee break during. What do you think?
Absolutely wretched fight. You nailed every single word of it.
Wretched fight.
I have this fight is just of all the fights to look into on this card. I was just like, no.
This one's
you watch your film, right? But as from a betting perspective, I'm not watching anything thinking about putting a bet on this. The only way you can play this fight is the fight to go the distance, or you're taking the plus money on Felipe. You nailed it 100%. Both these guys stink. I'm not interested in either of them. I'm definitely not betting Jose Johnson as a favorite. Next.
Let's move on to Soriano and Rosmedic. Listen, for all the grief we've given, and deservedly so, from Soriano, he moves a weight division, and he at least is competent after round 1, which has been a real problem for him. It was a bad fight against Baeza. Baeza looked absolutely terrible. He looked like a shot fighter. But give Soriano credit. He looked healthier. He looked like he wasn't carrying around as much, muscle or this way. He was a little bit more active. That being said, he certainly didn't have much power. It looked like his power was kind of gone. I'll happily take Medic in this one. I think he's going to be faster. I think he's going to have the more devastating shots. You look at who he's lost to. Oralbai, who's looked pretty good, and then Jalen Turner. Other than that, whatever knockout means. I go back and look at that he had the really nice knockout against Summelsberger and Omar Morales and Cruz. He does well against these guys that he knocks out guys that should get knocked out, that are either even or not on his level. And I just don't think Soriano is better than him. So I'll take Medic pretty confidently. What do you think?
So if we scroll down Soriano right here, this is beautiful to look at. This reminds me of all the good times. Is what it does, right?
The guy went to decision on Contender Series against Jamie Pickett. That's how
we've made so much money betting this guy, right?
We have.
We go back, Brendan Allen, landslide, that one. I was all over that fight. The maximum fight I was no part of. Kopylov, we were all over Kopylov. We picked every Kopylov fight. The Stolzfus live bet. I don't even remember that one.
I do.
Soriano's gassed 2 minutes into the first round, right? So great live bet there. And Baeza, this is the one I want to get to. I think we have a giant smoke screen going on in this fight. And I hope everybody's picking up on it. Soriano goes down in weight, gets a W. Oh, his cardio's fixed. His chin's always been fantastic. Was he hit with anything in that last fight that would say his chin was tested? No, not one bit, right? Baeza was a checked out fighter. He had no fight team. He was training at home. We didn't know what we were going to get from this guy. There was a big layoff. He's on a losing streak.
He's a big losing streak.
Yeah, give me Miguel Baeza for a second here.
Yeah, so
let's talk about this.
Yeah,
look at these losses.
I know. Pons, Chaos, Fiallo. I mean, not get knocked out by Fiallo and then doesn't fight until June. And then, he looks like he's just kind of done.
So MMA-wise, he's lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So there's this big smoke screen that Soriano is, found his new home. I love Medic in this spot. And I know Soriano's tough, but guess what? This guy Medic is a finisher, man. He is a finisher. And I think this is the first true test of Soriano's chin at this weight class. And I don't think it's going to hold up. If he's pressed and he's hurt, we're going to see that cardio go away no matter what weight class this is, because the anxiety level is going to go through the roof. You can see it on this guy's face. That's why we live bet against him when he starts to show tiring, because there's no getting that back. When you can't calm down your brain, your cardio's going. I like Medic. I like Medic by finish here. I think this is a pretty straightforward bet.
Yeah, it's a great point. Taking Medic by finish for sure, or even just by KO. I mean, I don't see a submission, but we always say don't mess around with trying to pick KO or submission. Just pick inside the distance. So, yeah, Medic by finish is going to be how we attack this one. Austin Bashi and Christian Rodriguez. This is a really interesting fight. So, Austin Bashi is coming off of Contender Series. Where is he? I believe that Bashi's opponent, Austin Bashi's first opponent, I think he didn't want to fight him or something weird happened.
The guy bailed.
Yeah, the guy just bailed. Like not the day before, right before the fight that happened. So our notes are incredible cardio, relentless takedowns, very athletic, great wrestling. Didn't get to see his striking on the feet very much. He did seem a bit overzealous. You're just going to see that on Contender Series, so I wouldn't necessarily hold that against him. Really interesting matchup here. This one surprises me. You go back and look at the Tulio fight. They're giving Tulio a guy that they clearly want to get out of here, but Christian Rodriguez is a real guy to them. How do you see this fight going down? This is an interesting matchup that I figured they'd want to give Austin Bashi a guy that he could just run through. I figured they'd give him the Peyton Talbot treatment where let's bring in some bums for this guy to.
This guy from Cage Warriors in here. Yeah.
Exactly. What's your take on this?
So before I give my pick, my breakdown, I'm going to give you my pick. Just bet this fight to go the distance. Okay.
Okay.
Just bet it to go the distance. Bashi's not going to get tired. We already know that. Rodriguez can get tired, but he's shown the ability to fight through adversity. Maybe not well, but he still gets through it. Okay. So you can get through adversity with still losing. So I'm going to take this fight to go the distance. That's going to be my pick. As far as my breakdown of this is, we have Bashi, who very clearly should be at a 135. For his size, his height, his age, he should be able to make that weight. It has been very well documented that his team, his management, him himself, whoever, does not want him at 135, and he cannot make that. On the flip side, we have Christian Rodriguez, who could not make 135 and was forced to move up to 145. That's where he's going to fight from now. So a little strange thing going on here with the weights. Rodriguez should have the thicker looking build. I just don't see Rodriguez being able to do the veteran lesson on Bashi. I also believe you nailed it. On Contender Series, we saw the young man's anxiety, the overzealousness, the off-balance punching. I would think that this is going to be cured a little bit, and he'll be a little bit tighter with his striking and his takedowns. So I'm kind of landing on the Bashi side, but more than anything, I think this fight goes the distance. You got two guys that are going to match up and really fight hard the first 2 rounds. And again, what we say last year, when a fight goes to the second, it's going the distance. That's what it seems like. So I don't see a death gasp by either of these guys. Give me the fight to go.
I've got Bashy winning. You could poke some big time holes in Christian Rodriguez's record. I mean, getting choked out by Erosa. A lot of people would argue he lost that fight against Bulgarian. Cameron Simon, And then, Raul Rosas, that was when Rosas showed his age. Tried to get the finish early, didn't quite get it. Rodriguez took advantage of a very tired teenager. So, I think Bashy's the complete package. He's got work, or he needs some work to do. But now that he's got full camp and he'll be having, some of the best resources, and UFC wants to bring him along, I think he's primed for a nice run in the UFC. Here's my 2025 prediction. So you remember when like NFL, they just teams figured out, let's just throw the ball, and it just became this, kind of. So I'm always looking for like, what's something that people can change or that athletes can change. Kyle Barallo saw a big hole in the sport, which was strategy. We're going to game plan harder and better than everybody, and we're going to actually stick to it. You know what my prediction is with this, and this reminds me of Austin Bashy. I think you're going to see young fighters not doing the terrible weight cuts, trying to make a lower weight division. I wonder if there's coaches out there going, you know what's better than having a guy trying to add 20 pounds after weigh-ins? It's just having him fight in a division where he doesn't have to murder his body for that. How many fighters do you see have these terrible weight cuts, and how many fights does it take off their career? Look at Colby. Look at Colby Covington. The guy can barely fight once a year, and now he's just done. And the word is pretty, like you said, well documented. It's the weight cuts. I'm wondering if some of these guys and the teams are just going, you know what? Let's not put our body through that. Let's fight at the weight that we know we can maintain throughout fight camp, maintain throughout the week leading up, and then just start the fight without having our body completely out of whack. That's my prediction of something, because I know if I'm coaching, I'm examining that really hard. Yes. I kind of like what Bashy's team said. Like, you know what? You're not killing your body just so you can make it down one. Yeah, you're going to fight some guys that may be a little bit bigger than you, but you're going to be healthy. And we're just going to out-strategize, and you're going to be healthier than them going in there. So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. But that seems like a pretty big hole in the sport. I've never tried to do a weight cut, but some of these fighters
it's not a good time. I can tell you that much from experience.
It's not a good time.
Nope. It's not something you look forward to.
and I don't mean like, no weight cut. I just mean like why are you killing yourself trying to make it down there? Like think about if over the course of your career you lose like 3 or 4 fights just because of that. Look at those paydays.
Yeah,
those are big time paydays in this sport right now. So all right, moving on to the main card, Chris Curtis and Roman Kopylov. I'll go first on this one. I don't understand the odds on this one at all. I like Chris Curtis this big of an underdog against Kopylov. So, Kopylov, we've made a lot of money off Kopylov. We had him. We've pegged him from the very beginning. From after this Duraev fight, we were like, no, he's beaten Jericho, Soriano, Ribeiro, Fremd. I mean, layups of layups. Think of the step up in competition, going from Josh Fremd to Fluffy Hernandez, which we predicted that one. And then Cesar Almeida in a really, really close fight that he won, and I'm not totally sure he won.
No,
it was close. It was close. I don't know. I thought he should have really beat. I thought it was a great matchup for him, and I thought he didn't look nearly as good as I thought he was going to, and Cesar Almeida looked a little bit better than I thought. My point is, I think Chris Curtis has the tools to give Kopylov a lot of problems. First off, Chris Curtis's defense striking is absolutely fantastic, and I don't think Kopylov's going to be able to land a whole lot. Chris Curtis cardio's okay. This is only 3 rounds, and I've seen Kopylov's cardio kind of fall off a little bit. And then if Kopylov wants to try and get some wrestling and grappling going, Chris Curtis has a really good takedown defense. I also look at the guys that Kopylov has fought, and Cesar Almeida was a striker, but Curtis is just a different type of striker. Curtis is going to work the body. He's going to do the thing that you always say, which is just touch him. You don't have to knock him out with one punch. I think Kopylov is going to have some success. Am I willing to weigh close to minus 300? Absolutely not. The pick for me is going to be Curtis just because of the price on this one. I think this could be 1-1 going into the third. And if it is, I like Curtis's chances because I have seen Kopylov get a little bit tired. So the odds make no sense to me. I know Chris Curtis is kind of not, he hasn't put on some of the best decisions or the best fights, but that loss to Brendan Allen wasn't a good look. But, before that, Barrios was a pretty good win. I don't know. The odds are making me take the action, man. What do you think?
Jim loves Kopylov, right?
Yeah.
He must be betting Kopylov, right? Not so much.
You're with me on this one.
I'm with you on this one, man. I think this is a live bet. Okay, I'm not willing to plant my flag on the Kopylov side pre-fight. And here's the reason why. You nailed it. Curtis is just going to be there, and he's going to touch him. And he's going to touch him. And he's going to touch him. And Kopylov's probably going to land the bigger strikes in the first 2 rounds. I am absolutely terrified about the third round.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think it's 1-1 going into the third, we're going to be sweating because we've seen Kurt be able to pull out those third rounds. On the flip side, I really have a lot of question marks about Chris Curtis. He's no longer training with Sean Strickland. That whole relationship is gone. He's got multiple kids now. All right.
Oh, that's
his
right.
Family life.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He took fights that he didn't want to take last year. So what is going on in the head of Chris Curtis? On top of it, check out his age. I feel like we forget how old Chris Curtis is.
Well, he's 31-11. That's 42 fights. He was a journeyman before he got to the UFC.
Yeah. There's some mileage on these tires at 37. So I don't see either this fight being a flash knockout either way. So I'll just wait and see what we got. To me, this fight's about different distance. If you see Kopylov being able to stay at range and move laterally, left to right, Chris Curtis is not going to be able to catch him. If Kopylov decides to put his feet flat on the ground and exchange with Chris Curtis, that is a bad decision because Chris is going to throw those shots to the body. And in the third round, you're going to see Kopylov sucking wind and getting pinned up against the cage. So this is a live bet spot, 1,000%. Watch the first 2 minutes of the round, then you're going to be able to know who is going to be pulling away later. This fight is the definition of a marathon, not a sprint. This is about the third round to me. So I'll watch it in the first and make my decision from there.
Abdul Razak Alassane versus Cesar Almeida. How do you see this one going down?
We talk about age.
Yeah.
You guys take a guess. How old's Abdul Razak Alassane? 39.
It's crazy that he's only 12-6 and he's 39 years old. That is crazy. That's the craziest age that you would trick a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't know that.
I had no idea he was this old. You forget that he's this old. Now, here's the thing with him. Drama just follows this guy. Okay? There's always something. It's him at sometimes you see him at the press conferences and he's all Mr. Happy. And then there's times where he's talking about how he's going to choke Buckley backstage when they're not even booked to fight. They're not even closely ranked the same. Buckley's a bitch and blah, blah, blah. He's going on and on and on. I don't understand this guy. I got nothing against him as a person, going through what he had to go through, being falsely accused of heinous crimes and losing years of his career. I feel for him. But the bottom line is everybody wants to talk about his judo black belt they never use. He's still not a natural striker. Yes, he has power, but what else does he have? He has power. And bitch and moan about the Cody Brundage fight all you want, but it's Alassane's responsibility to not put 3 welts on the back of Cody Brundage's head. So cry me a river if you lost money in that spot, but you bet on a fighter who can't not do an illegal strike. Okay?
He was trying to argue he didn't hit him in the back of the head when there's video evidence and physical evidence on the back of his head.
They were big welts. I mean, it wasn't a glancing blow. This is not our buddy from down under. That is. So I think this is Cesar Almeida all day. Hot take. People don't realize how good Cesar Almeida is. Like we just talked about the Kopylov fight, how Kopylov always looks so great, and in that Almeida fight, he looked very human. I thought that he won, but he looked very human against Almeida. If Almeida can keep this in the center of the cage, which I believe he'll be able to, if he can weather the first 3 minutes of the fight, which I believe he will be able to, at some point, I think he's going to put Alisson out. We've seen this guy gas when he gets taken down. Not that Almeida's a big wrestler, but hey, shit happens. People fall down. They end up on top. This guy is a turtle on his back. He always ends up belly down with somebody with hooks in on his back. And Almeida has been working on his grappling.
He has. He
I
absolutely
would not
has.
be shocked by any means to see Alisson trip and fall and Almeida end up on top of him and get Alisson out of here. So give me Almeida. I like Almeida by finish. I like this fight not to go the distance. I think this is Almeida really showing the work that he's put together over the past 2 years, coming to a full MMA game plan.
Yeah, he's made the transition from kickboxing to MMA really good. He was a big underdog on Contender Series against a grappler, and he out-grappled the grappler on that one, which was crazy. Takes care of Dylan Budka, loses a close one to Kopylov, which that was one where a fighter lost and came out looking good. We were like, wow, this is a real guy. And then he just, put it on Potieria for 3 rounds. So I'm with you on Cesar Almeida over Alisson. Alisson's just been a really nice fade for us in the right spots. So the co-main, this has got to be the all-time worst co-main. I mean, give me
no,
bro.
I'll make a list.
Pons and Nibio against Carlston Harris. This is a PFL Europe undercard fight with Carlston Harris. Give me a break. All right, Ponzinibbio and Carlston Harris. So, you know how when you're watching guys fight and the fight starts, and you know how guys are trying to just get their distance and they're kind of like pawing. That's how Carlston Harris actually punches. This is what I'm doing right now is what guys do to feel out the other fighter and get distance. This is Carlston Harris's strongest punch. He pushes. He paws. Mm-hmm. If you want to see one of the most embarrassing things from a fighter, just go look at the minute 30 of his fight against Chaos Williams and look at this man attempting to punch. Like, the look on Chaos Williams' fight was like a lion looking at a herd of wounded elk. It was embarrassing. That guy's absolutely terrible. Meanwhile, you got Pons, who's 38, who lost to Solecki in a fight that I need to get those 20 minutes from my life back. He's old. He's lost. He's in the co-main. He's lost 4 out of 5. His win was Alex Morano when Alex Morano took the fight on a day or two, and Alex Morano had openly been sitting on the couch for the previous few weeks. That's his big win. He's old. He's low volume. He can't finish anybody. And that being said, he's going to beat Carlston Harris, who is absolutely, truly terrible. 19-6 is crazy. People that were he has this win against Jeremiah Wells. He was losing every second of that fight until he randomly got an anaconda choke. How did this guy fight Shavkat in his career? How was he ever at a point?
He beat Impa. When was this?
I don't know. I don't know. For me, it's Pons. That being said, I just cannot hit submit or walk to a window to bet my hard-earned money on Santiago Ponzinibbio. This is a truly awful fight. UFC should be outright embarrassed that they put this fight. And I know you're going to tell me why it's on the whatever. There are so many other fights. Bashi Rodriguez should be a co-main before this one. Thiago Moises, Trey Ogden should be on this before this one. This is embarrassing. It's terrible. I'd be happy when this fight is over and we never have to talk about it again. But Ponzinibbio is the pick. Who do you like?
I'm with you. It's Ponzinibbio. And I hate it. Again, I hate it. It's gross. I hate it. Haven't hit the button yet.
It's disgusting.
You didn't even mention the biggest indictment on Carlston Harris in his career. You missed
it. There's a bigger one?
Oh, yeah.
The fact that he
This guy had Jared Gooden on short notice in mount for 3 rounds.
Oh, that's right.
and couldn't get a finish. An exhausted, short notice Jared Gooden. And what's Carlston Harris's strength? Submissions. Could not do it. I don't think there's anything that he's going to be able to do that Ponzinibbio has not seen. It's a question of whether or not you trust his chin. Now, luckily, like you said, Harris doesn't know how to punch. So I don't see Pons getting clipped. I also have not seen any fight from Harris in the third round. So it kind of quells my Ponzinibbio cardio concerns because I know Ponzinibbio at least wants to win a fight. Like he's going to try to fight. It might not look good, but he's going to try in the third round. So I think this is Ponzinibbio. I'll fill everyone else in. What I said to you, the reason why this is in the co-main spot is because Ponzinibbio is an analyst. He's a color commentator. He's an analyst. All right. And they need to have these guys exposed. They need to get their fan bases tuned in and wanting to watch. That's why he's in this spot. They're getting it out of the way early in the year. Get him a fight. Then he can go back to his career at the desk. Okay. So I'll probably keep taking another fight this year, maybe 1-2 more. I doubt this is a retirement situation. Yeah, give me Ponzinibbio, man.
Yeah, especially if they're going to keep giving guys like Carlston Harris. Why would you retire? Yeah, absolutely. I'll sign up for that. All right.
People ask that about like Jim all the time. Like, why is he still fighting? It's like, well, A, he's winning. Like Jim, right? And they're giving him guys that he can beat.
Yeah,
they're not throwing him in there against a
don't let me fight Bobby Green again. Don't let me fight anybody whose name ends in a V. I'll be fine. So I'm with you. All right, Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas. One more time, guys. Just remind everybody: 30 days of tennis for only $59. We're coming up on the Australian Open. We're on a 45-18 run in tennis. I know this is a UFC show, but we try and promote some of the sports that you may be not aware that we have success in. So tennis, we're the all-time leader at Wager Talk since we joined the website. Also, we're running our golf and auto racing special. A year of both of those sports. For the price of one. We've turned a profit every single year in golf and auto racing, both sports, independent of each other. And we were number one in golf last year. So take advantage of those over at wagertalk.com. These are all bets that we bet. Every single bet that we put out for clients, we are betting on our own. We've been building our bankrolls for years. We've been doing it for clients as well. So if you're missing out, no need to miss out on any more. Just jump in, grab 30 days of tennis. We'll cash at the Australian Open, and we'll move on from there. All right. Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Ribas. You get to go first, Jim. Who do you like?
Drum roll. I'm planting my flag on the plus 170 number on Mackenzie Dern. I feel like I am in an absolute island here.
Okay.
I've heard a ton of people saying that Amanda's made more improvements than Mackenzie, and that Mackenzie is the same fighter. I don't think she's the same fighter.
By losing 3 out of 5?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's not get me started on Amanda
Quite
Ribas
the improvements.
in her coaching, okay? I'll point out exactly why Amanda Ribas is the same fighter in a minute, and you know exactly where I'm going with it. I think Dern has made way more improvements. When they fought the first time, Mackenzie had absolutely no idea what to do on the feet. She didn't throw combinations. She threw a winging overhand right, and it tried to get her to the takedown. And what we've seen from her, maybe not in winning efforts, but we have seen her string combinations together. This is a girl that has brought in different coaches. She has gone different paths and trained with other people. So we do have to kind of know what mindset Mackenzie's in. Does she want to be the grappler? Does she want to test her striking in this situation? I believe Mackenzie's made more improvements. Now, let's get to Amanda. Amanda Ribas is 13-5. That is 18 pro fights. If you put Amanda Ribas' first fight on and her last fight on, her striking defense is just as bad as it was in her very first fight. There has been absolutely zero improvements defensively, and you've seen this girl get lumped up, win, lose, or draw in every single fight. I cannot bet on somebody with bad striking defense. Our bet with Rose was the main focus, was she is going to get tagged, okay? Our bet on her against Pinheiro was that Pinheiro's going to gas, right? Nailed it. My bet on Macy Barber was she's going to get hit, and she's going to get hit a lot. So the striking defense is a huge issue. I think Mackenzie's striking is big enough to where she can hurt Amanda. We've seen Amanda finished. I'll go out on a real limb here. I'm standing on my island alone. That's fine. I think this is Mackenzie, and I think Mackenzie gets a finish late round 2, round 3. I think Ribas is going to take so much damage, and this is exactly what happened against Barbara. It was an accumulation of strikes, and she's been beat up before. I don't know if that body can take that much damage anymore.
See, I think Mackenzie Dern's striking defense is equally appalling. Loopy beat her up pretty good. Her right eye was all mauled and messed up. I think both are going to have pretty good success on the feet. In a weird, twisted way, I think that's why I like this fight to go the distance. I think they're both going to get hit.
We're way opposite.
Yeah, I think they're both going to hit each other quite a bit. That they're both going to get a little bit tired. I think to start off the fight, Ribas is going to start off probably a little bit too fast for a 5-round fight. I don't think she gets an early finish. I don't think Ribas is submitting Dern. Dern doesn't have a submit. When was the last time Dern had a submission?
It's been a while. It's been a losing proposition betting Mackenzie Dern by submission.
Yeah.
It's not something.
Dern doesn't have a submission win in her last 8 fights.
And there's no value in it. It's always like plus 100.
Yeah. Yeah. She had a couple arm bars and everyone's like, oh, wow. So I don't see submissions from either one. So if I'm looking at a knockout, I actually think both of them eat so many shots that they both kind of just get a little tired. And then the last couple rounds, neither of them has the energy to totally finish the other one. They both, I think cardio is going to end up being fine. Both of them are going to have 5-round cardio. We watched Dern do it. Ribas, you're never really worried about her getting tired. I think this is one of those where both of them are pretty beat up and they're kind of just hanging on in rounds 4 and 5. And I think it gets to a decision. I think it's really close. I'll lean Ribas, but I really, really like this fight to go the distance here. That's how I'll be playing this one. So I can't. I want to fade Ribas, but man, I just watched Loopy beat her up on the feet. Again, and that fight against Loopy, Dern, it was Loopy's striking versus Dern's control. And that's another reason why I think this could end up going the distances. If Dern does get on top and get some control, it's just going to eat away some minutes. But Ribas is just going to be too active. She's not going to put her neck or arm in harm's way. So that's kind of how I'm looking at that one. Again, not the strongest prediction that I have on this card, but that's how
I'm glad you brought that up for a strong prediction. We just talked about all these fights. Look, these are predictions, okay? This isn't exactly where we're dumping all our money. Don't go all in on any of these picks or predictions. I'm not saying bet Mackenzie by finish by any means. I have not bet Dern yet. I haven't gotten there yet. Just be cautious with your money. This is the first card of the year. It is January.
Yeah.
This goes till December.
Yeah, Dern, Ribas, no pick. Yeah. Pons and Carlston Harris, my God, no pick. Mm-hmm. Curtis and Kopylov, maybe. Bashi and Rodriguez, tough one, but maybe. Soriano, Medic, yes. Johnson and Felipe, but absolutely no chance. So, yeah, there's just a lot of fights that we don't put our money on. You get our official plays at Wager Talk. Those are the ones that we do have our money on, but this wouldn't make for a very good video if we did a fight-by-fight analysis. We only broke down 4 fights that we had predictions on. So, but the good thing for the audience is when we break down these fights and we tell people that we're not betting them, they can still come back and say you were wrong about the prediction that you didn't bet on. So, all right, let's do. Shout out!
My favorite part of the day.
Shout out to you hindsight haters. All right, Parlay Buster and woulda, coulda, shoulda. Parlay Buster is interesting because there's quite a few on here. So if I'm trying to figure out the Parlay Buster, if you haven't watched this before, first off, thanks for joining us. It's a fight that we think everyone is going to put in their parlays, and we're just here to say, it's a little bit of a worrisome. I think people are going to be high on Kopylov, and I think they're going to put him in at this steep price. So that's going to be my Parlay Buster is Kopylov.
Like it. I like it. I agree with you. The price is really what keeps me off of it. I'm going to go down on the card. Trying to examine our Parlay Buster. We got to think about what happens every week. What happens? The first couple fights all get parlayed together. So looking at these first couple fights, it's like first 3 all to not go the distance. Yeah, great bet. So I will very gladly. I'm going to go with Kareckaite. Okay, I'm going to go with Kareckaite. I think that there's been so much talk about her and this being a smash spot for her, and everybody seems so down on Nicolle. It's a women's fight, man. It could go either way.
Okay.
That's where I'll land.
All right. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. This is a fight where we're all sitting back going, my God, why didn't we lay the absolute farm on that one? And I will go with Cesar Almeida by finish over Abdul Razak Alisson, who's 39 years old, who doesn't have any cardio after the first round. And yeah, he's been knocked out before. So I'll go with Cesar Almeida as my woulda, coulda, shoulda. What do you think?
Oh, you took mine.
Oh, really?
Same one. That's perfect.
Well, you take that one because I got another one.
No, let's see if it's the same one I got. Go ahead. You said.
Well, it's Uros Medic knocking out Soriano with that chin coming off of a win against Baeza. No, thank you. I think Soriano still stinks, and I think he's been knocked out too many times, and I think Medic is the guy to catch him on the chin one time. So I'm going 2 finishes. I'm going. I could just see Soriano laying face down in the ring, going, "Do you believe we fell for it after he beat Baeza? Why didn't we load up the card on Medic, who just knocks people out for a living?"
That's all he does.
Yeah. So that was my other one.
Okay. Scroll down. I'll go with another finish. This is my second. Tulio.
Okay.
Tulio, again, by finish over Potieria.
Yeah.
And happy trails, Ihor Potieria.
Happy trails.
Good luck in PFL. Have fun.
Have fun. He may make the finals in PFL. There's a chance. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for it. Hit the like button. Thanks so much for joining us. Be careful on this card. Some sketchy fights. If you have 7 or 8 bets on this card, it might be too many. I'm rooting for you, but it might be too many. So good luck. Practice good bankroll management, and we'll see everyone next time.
Good luck, guys.